The restoration of an old car is about more than the punch list and a box of parts. For the hobbyist, the process is an experience that happens in real time and becomes a part of our history, forever linked to the surrounding events. While most of the activities portrayed here are attempts to move VW Bug Dweezil closer to a reliable daily driver, there are external forces that play a role in how things turn out. Relationships, day jobs, budgets, and other priorities all have their effect. Today we are making progress under the threat of a natural disaster, and it seems fitting to include it here as we check some things off the list. We'll finish painting the front suspension and steering parts, take another look at the upcoming fuel line project, and try to remove the transaxle while a hurricane passes through. Haptic Garage has been through storms before and has learned to make reasonable preparations and then hope for the best.
So I'm taking a look at the fuel line replacement, which is a bit of a project of its own. I found two clips that hold it in place. One is just inside here. It looks like I could get a screwdriver in there and pry it open a little bit and be okay. So that one doesn't pose too much of a problem. But the other one is a thing. There's a big strap that goes across the clutch cable tube about right here. And the fuel line is grouped with that. But back here, right there actually, is a separate clip that's just suspended in air and goes around the clutch tube and the fuel line. In addition to the clutch tube and the fuel line, there's a throttle cable tube that runs in that area. And while I don't necessarily think they're a factor, there's tubes here for the e-brake cables, and then 4 more for heater control cables. So what does that make? That's 4 plus 2, that's 6, 7, 8, 9 things. 8 of them carry cables, but the one of them is the fuel line, all inside the tunnel. There's a lot going on in there. I need to get all this off so I can mount the chassis on a homemade rotisserie. Which, if things go well, that's just going to amount to 2 engine stands, one on the front, one on the rear. We'll see how that goes, but if it works, that'll serve as my rotisserie. Okay. To drain the transaxle fluid. This is going to be kind of spooky. I'm going to go ahead and open this up so it can drain overnight. Wow, this thing's filthy. Well, that wasn't too tough. But there's fluid, that's good. Ooh. Really sludgy. Oh man. Very sludgy, and I would guess very low. This transaxle may be on its last leg too. Oh man. Yeah, this thing was neglected and abused. That's hardly anything. Wow. These are tough little cars. Day 10 of the project. Need to do some painting. Actually, I'll be finishing up the painting. Won't take very long. I'll just do another coat of primer, maybe 2. I usually do really light coats, so 1 or 2 coats of primer on all of this. And then I'll do several top coats. Again, pretty thin top coats. I usually do 3 or 4 with this Rustoleum stuff. So, hey, put on the mask and do a little bit of painting. And then I would like to do this. This is what I'm interested in doing, and I may just end up doing that because that's next. But I kind of need to shift my focus until I feel more prepared. Hurricane Irma is for realsies. I'm going to get a piece of it, I'm pretty sure of that. I need to make sure I'm prepared. I've got stuff, I've got water, I've got canned goods, I've got fuel, I'm all good there. but around the house I need to do some work. But other than that, I'd be interested in keeping my frozen stuff frozen and my batteries charged, and that means a generator. So I need to look at that, and I should probably do some of that sooner than later instead of waiting till the weekend, because it'll probably be raining this weekend. So there I am, painting, and then I'll have to choose between responsible or fun. Who knows how it's gotta go. Okay, everything is primered. I went through an entire can and the remainder of the can that I started yesterday. That gave me a good solid coat of primer. I guess I did 2 coats today, plus that dust coat yesterday. I'm all set there, so next is the top coat. Primer is easier to paint to me. Maybe it's just the Rustoleum that I use, but primer seems to go on nicer than top coat. This stuff, with all of the crazy shapes and things behind things and so on, makes it very difficult to get even coverage over the entire piece. So I would regard this as being very technical spray painting, as opposed to doing just the panel of a car or something. Flat stuff like this, much easier to paint nicely and still get even coverage over everything. But on the other hand, this is not parts of the car that people expect to look nice. These are the working parts of the car. This isn't the pretty part. I'm not too concerned about that either way. My concern is preserving these parts, making sure that I've done what I can within reason to prevent rust, and that requires a good coat of paint. So that's my effort here, not necessarily to get the best looking glossy deep lacquer coat of paint on the steering box as I can, but just to keep the thing from rusting. If cost and time and talent were no object, I wouldn't be using Rustoleum spray cans in a garage. I think I'm gonna be okay. All right, time to do the top coat. Yeah, so Irma's on its way. Looks like the keys are going to get the worst of it. That'll start tonight and in the morning. I think landfall is supposed to be in the morning. And then it'll come up the west side of Florida. I'm here in central Florida. But it's not going to come straight over me. And even if it did, it would have been on land for a long time. So I'm not expecting a whole lot of excitement unless there's a weak tree somewhere. Or a gust of wind catches the roof just right. I mean, something catastrophic could happen, but as far as guarantee of really awful things happening, I don't see it where I am. I think the people in the Keys are in trouble. Further up the west coast, storm surge will continue to be a story, but that'll all be happening, and there's nothing anybody can do about it at this point. Because of this, over the last 2 or 3 days, I had to stop and shore some things up here around the house, put the storm shutters up, clean up the yard, move some vehicles around to get them away from trees, to the extent that I could anyway. Got a couple of things that I'm pretty worried about. I've done what I could. All of the stuff, all these parts have just been hanging here for a few days, curing, so that's good. I've just worked around it as I needed the garage for other things. Getting the generator running, making adapter cables. I've gotten all of those things done. It's now raining. It'll be raining for the next 2 days.
Storm will get here tomorrow night. The house feels like a bunker because all the windows are boarded up. I don't want to spend any more time in there than I absolutely have to. I'll be in there when I need to do that to be safe. Otherwise, I think I'm going to be spending a lot of time out here. If I have to run the generator, that's fine. I'll still have electricity to see what I'm doing. I won't be able to run any huge power tools, but I think I'll be able to get some stuff done while I'm waiting this thing out. And then when the storm's bad, then I'll hunker down inside and close the garage up. So here we go. Probably go ahead and start pulling some of this stuff off and storing it in the car. All right, so back on it. So this is Hurricane Irma so far. I expect things to get a lot worse than it is right now, but getting some rain, and I don't have anything else to do. I still have electricity, so might as well do this. It is now time to get the front of the pan up on the engine stand. I'll mount the head to it and put it on the engine stand. Then I'll focus on the back. I'm going to put it up on some really tall jack stands that I usually use for the RV. To get the back end way up in the air, I'll make it easier to work on and easier to eventually mount to another engine stand back there once all the other stuff is removed. That's my plan for today, as long as I can do it. I'm going to stay safe, of course, but don't see any reason not to be out here making good use of the time. This is a whole lot better than watching the news. So I have the head bolted on to the frame head here. Used a big nut here as a spacer so the original bolts could be used. I used this guy here and this one over here, so it's only bolted in with two, but it's kind of difficult to get all four of them to holes in the amount of adjustment that's provided. See, of course, this is an engine stand and engines are wider than this bolt pattern. But that's all right. This will be sturdy enough for the weight that it's dealing with. The other thing is I had to take this off of the engine stand because there's going to be angles here, right, as I manipulate the other side, and an engine stand kind of tilts back a little bit, and I don't necessarily need that with this application. All right, let's lift this thing up and see if I can set it into place here. These holes aren't going to line up. That's okay. The other end has a wider bolt pattern. Maybe I'll be able to put that head on there more square and use that to keep the whole thing from rotating, and this one will just be free all the time. I am going to have to lock it in place though. I need to stick something through here. Working on rusty old brakes makes me hungry. Let's see if we can find a bite to eat. I think the dog wants to go too. Okay. There's a curfew tonight starting at 7 p.m. It's now 3 p.m. Called the Chinese place, and what do you know, they're open like any other day. So yeah, found some food, grab that, and then I'll get home and stay there for the duration. It could get serious later, but you gotta enjoy yourself when you can. See the checker outer? He's the checker outer dog right there. Rain's getting a little heavy now. I'm gonna drive cautiously home and be done with this being out and about stuff. There's plenty of water on the road. I'm taking it slow here. I saw a retention pond that's already looking pretty much full. That's not good There's gonna be a whole lot more rain. That thing's already spilling over. Almost home. Gonna get back to the brakes. This is kind of a cool thing. There's a lot of cool things with with these old VWs. I'm about to remove actually the whole thing. I'm going to remove the transaxle with the rear axle all involved. So I've got to unbolt the axles from the spring plates, and that will affect the alignment, the wheel alignment. So I'm reading the manual, the Bentley manual, and it says to hit a notch, to use a chisel here. So here's the notch they're talking about. So this is provided by the factory, this little spot here, just for this purpose. See, they built these things to be worked on. Is that a little different than what we're all used to? But there it is. So I'm just gonna use the chisel and right in the center of this, notch the spring plate. And I'll do the same on the other side. Having some trouble getting the clutch cable out. This tube here, I think it's called the Bowden tube, has this kink in it, and the threaded portion of the cable I think is stuck here. Well, this Bowden tube is shot. I should have just cut the threaded end off before I got this deep, but here I am. So I'm gonna cut the Bowden tube here, and I might cut it here as well and take the cable with it. Now, hopefully I can straighten this thing out. You know what? I'm gonna cut my losses here. Get it? I'm cutting my losses. Let's see. This will get through it here, like cable and all. It'd be great. Uh-oh. I chipped a tooth. Okay, here we go. Nice. Okay, so that is just the cable there. And the threaded portion is in here. Well, that takes care of that. Winds are picking up a little bit. There's some small limbs down in the yard, some small branches and things, but nothing major yet. You can hear the wind whistling through the trees. There's a whoosh sound. What I recall from Charlie was just a roar, just whoo. It gets a deeper tone to it when it's that fast. We're not even close to that, and hopefully we don't get there. Things are picking up a bit. 6:30, starting to get a little darker. Getting a little bit done on the bug too, which is nice. Work is called off until Wednesday, so I've got 2 more days if things don't go crazy here overnight. Got 2 more days to get some work done, which is nice. The storm has kind of set me back, but if things go really well here, I might get caught up over the next couple of days. If things go as they certainly could, then I'll be working in the yard or on the house or something else. I hope not. All the excitement's gonna happen tonight. Got a couple of limbs down here. This is stuff that would happen on a, you know, summer afternoon rain shower like we see all summer in Florida. So, and for a hurricane so far, it's pretty uneventful. So this is a bad sign. I'm starting to see the power flash a little bit. I mean, it's a pretty good chance that I'm going to lose power, but I don't want to lose power, you know? I just got a couple of flashes there. Hopefully it doesn't go out. I'm messing with this bolt. It's all rusty. So I've wire brushed a little bit of it off. Minimize the amount of grit that's down in those threads so it'll be easier to unthread this. You know, there's all kinds of penetrating oils and stuff, which are great. But kerosene does a pretty good job too. I'm gonna try that. Not cool. Well, okay, so here's the plan. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and when the power finally goes out and stays out, which it seems is in the cards, I'll start up the generator, which will allow me to keep working, but it'll also allow me to kind of make sure the generator's cool. It's an old generator and it hasn't run in a long time. I mean, I tested it and all that, but it'd be nice to spend some time with it while it's running. Even better to not have to use it, but this is early in the night and the power's already flashing out like that, so I'm probably gonna lose power. All right, I was doing something. Good times. Hurricane Irma. All right, let's get this thing off. So I have the generator on. I'm going to at least finish up what I'm doing here. Daylight to see the storm. I got some more limbs down.
Wouldn't surprise me if I lose a couple of trees over there. So I got one more task. One more task and then I'll call it a night. I'm gonna get this out of here. Remove these. I need to get the two in the front now. Well, here we go. Gonna be a long night. I'm gonna go ahead and hook up power in the house now. I'm sure the dog will be glad to see me. Ah, bummer, my garbage can fell over. Hey, buddy. Okay. Life in paradise, folks. Next person I hear say that, I'm gonna punch him in the face. Yeah. That looks like I got a mess to clean up. That's gonna be a piece of work. On the house. It doesn't, I don't know, probably didn't do any damage. Front yard feels a little different. That elephant ear tree there provided a lot of shade in this front corner. That's going to be gone now. That's the thing about the aftermath of these hurricanes when you lose trees, is it changes the feel of the space. No big surprise. I mean, it's too bad. I like trees, but no big surprise. The palm trees are taking a beating, but they're not leaning. I've seen that before. So they're ugly for a little bit, but they'll bounce back.